For the past few weeks, we have been talking about the Four Noble Truths, suffering, in Pali language, dukkha, causes of suffering in Pali language, dukkha samudaya, cessation of suffering, dukkha nirodha, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. So we have discussed in detail, and we acknowledge that life is suffering. We have identified the causes of suffering, and we are also certain that we have the potential to end suffering. So what do? We have triggered in ourselves an internal realization. This internal realization dawns on the need for a spiritual path to end suffering. There's a need to end suffering, unless you don't care. But we care. It's our suffering. So how to end suffering? This is our talk today, how to end suffering. Now, trying to gain release from suffering, ordinary people usually take two extremes, and we would like to explain those two extremes so that you can avoid them. Two extremes people usually take. And of course, the Buddha's way is the middle way, but let's understand the two extremes. One extreme is indulgence in sense pleasures. That's one extreme. That is an attempt to extinguish unhappiness, to extinguish dissatisfaction by gratifying sensual desires. We have sensual desires. And most of us take life for granted. We know that one day we must die. I mean, that's a fact. Nobody can avoid that. One day we must die. You live 100 years, you die. But usually we picture that day as far in the future. It's so remote. And when we are in good health, death is all but unimaginable. We don't imagine death. We're in good health. We seldom think of it. The future seems to stretch out in endless vista. It's a lot. We have a lot of future, a long time to go. So we go about doing our daily routines, working, resting, sleeping, shopping, partying, traveling, struggling to make as much as possible and gain as much fame and reputation as possible, do whatever we want to satisfy our sensual pleasures, hardly aware of any need for spiritual development. Not many people. Not very many people striving for spiritual development. They only look for material ones. Bigger house, better car, better job, more money, better account, traveling, partying. That's what they need. Most of us, we won't pause and say, where did we come from? Where are we going after this life? Why do I get born into this world? Why do we have to suffer? Why do we have to die? What is the sickness, death? Why? How come most people don't question that? Because death to them is so remote. But it's not. I know it's not remote. When I was at universities, I experienced many of such things. I have fellow students. We're studying together, and one Christmas, two guys were gone. Both of them were involved in traffic accidents. Just within 1 hour. So life is so fragile. Are we not going to think about it? That is one extreme. There are also those who adopt the materialistic style of life. Eat, drink, and be happy. This is what they call sometimes called the Epicurean approach. Just be happy, and you can do what you want. As long as you can satisfy your senses. To understand the Buddhist teaching, you really have to understand your 6 senses. What are your 6 senses? The eyes, the nose, ears, tongue, body, and mind. These are the 6 senses. These are your salesmen, your body salesmen. They're at the front end. They're at the front end trying to sell yourself, receiving and giving information. And you're trying to satisfy them. The eyes see pretty things, beautiful things, and they attach to them. And you want to buy fashions, clothes, shoes, because your eyes want to see beautiful things, and you grasp onto them. You have to understand your senses, because your senses get you into trouble, get me into trouble also. Your senses, you watch your senses, your eyes, your ears, you listen to the dulcet sound, the most pleasurable sound, music and all that, you involve in it. You like pleasant sound that pleases you. You don't like criticism. You don't like yelling, cursing. You don't like all those. You only like sounds that is pleasant to you. It's natural. And what else in your senses that you have to analyze? That's what we mean by spiritual odyssey, spiritual development. Not just crossing your leg and sitting in there and meditating like that and call yourself a meditator. Are you putting on a show yourself? You really got to analyze and understand your senses. What's Buddhism? Nothing to do with blessings from Buddha, understanding yourself. Be mindful. When your eyes see, you have to see things as they really are, not grasping at it. What do we mean by that? To see things as they really are. That's a very important concept. For example, when you look at a member of the opposite sex, for example, and that member of the opposite sex has very good physique, very good look. Now, if you see him or her as he or she is, without any grasping, without any yearning, without the slightest desire in the opposite sex attraction, and you just say, oh, that guy good, looks good physique, with no yearning, no slightest desires, that's what you see him or her as she or he really is. When you see a beautiful flower, no grasping, it's a beautiful flower, no desire for possession, no desire for destruction. You just see the flower as it really is. No attachment. When you see a diamond ring, you look at the diamond ring, I don't know how many carats, diamond ring, glistering, immaculate, and you enjoy the beauty of the diamond ring. You see the diamond ring as it is, without any grasping, without any desire for owning it, without any desire for stealing it. That's to see the diamond ring as it is. Can you see things as they are, with no attachment, absolutely no attachment? Most people can, because our senses grasp onto them. You don't believe me? The ears, for example, the ears. Some people yell at you, and you think that your self-esteem is being hurt. So your salesman, the ear salesman, gives you the information. It communicates to your mind. Your mind starts to discriminate and ponder on it. Why did this guy yell at me? And you think and discriminate and you judge and you distort And finally, what do? You yell back, you defend yourself, you're involved in the struggling, you're involved in arguing, and finally you may involve in a fight. That happens in family. Your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your children. All these is because of your senses. How come you don't analyze your own senses? What happened? What are the causes for a broken marriage? Nothing comes without a reason. They don't watch their senses. The senses go astray with the foundation of the egoistic cocoon. Everybody, you imagine yourself as a warm caterpillar in that egoistic cocoon. Who built that cocoon? Yourself. The caterpillar is building that cocoon for himself, for itself. Not Buddha, not a creator. And is so warm in it. That's the ego that we have. So we're talking about the senses. So we have the eyes, attachment. We have the ears, attachment. We have the nose, attachment. You know, nose attachment. And we like to smell fragrance, the best smell. And we don't like odor that is unpleasant. The tongue. According to a sutra, let me give you some more information. According to the Surangama Sutra, all your senses, they calculated it using very detailed calculation, and they put a figure to quantify the merits and the demerits of each sense organ. But why don't we talk about it? You know, it's we can't finish it today anyway. So let's talk about the eyes, the sense organ, the eyes. And remember, the eyes itself, that salesman, he's only a salesman. He's not the supervisor. He's not the boss. Who is that boss? That boss is behind him. When the salesman communicates, get all the information, he's taking those papers back to that booth. And that booth makes the decision. What did that booth do? Get in the computer, get past information, put judgment, put discrimination, arguing about the price and all that. That's what? That's the mind. Communicates gets to the mind. The sense organ gets to the mind. But the eyes organ, Surangama calculated it, the maximum merits or demerits, because your senses work both ways. Don't blame senses. Don't blame the salesman for your mistakes. Salesmen sell for you. They make troubles, but it's just your eyes makes trouble when you attach. But your eyes also help you what? It helps you to read. It helps you to get good information. Are you a good master of fire? If you're not a good master of fire, the fire will burn you. If you're a good master of fire, the fire will help you to cook. So don't blame the salesman. You just have to watch the salesman. Be mindful of the salesman. No discrimination on the opposite sex or sales lady. No, does not matter, salesman or sales lady. So you just have to watch it. That's why in meditation, what are we talking about? Be mindful. When you're circumambulating, don't browse around. You be mindful. That word, be mindful, it's absolutely important. When you're not mindful, you're out of control. Most people say, I'm in control of myself. I know everything. I myself, I can control. If you can control yourself, I always say, how come you get mad? How come you get jealous? How come you get greedy? How come you fight? How come you argue? How come criminals kill? How come criminals rape? How come there's abuses? Because you can't control yourself. You're inflicting pain not only on yourself, on many, many other people too. That's why we have suffering. Who created this suffering? We. So, the eyes. The eyes have 1,200 points. No, the eyes have what? No, the eyes have only 800 points. Maximum is 1,200 points. They have very detailed calculations. They use time dimensions and space dimensions. If you study the Surangama Sutra, then you will know. There's English translation for it. Surangama Sutra, English translations. It's an ancient sutra. So the eyes, the eye consciousness has 800 points. The maximum was 1,200. How come it's limited only to 800? Can the eye see the back? Can your eyes see what is at the back of you? So there's limitation. Eyes can only see a certain angle. The eyes can't see the back. So I just want to simplify it for you. You can always refer to the Surangama Sutra. You can study it to find out more about it. Surangama Sutra, there's one chapter, or 2 or 3 chapters solely on watching your senses in detail. So eyes consciousness, 800 points. And ears, how about ears? 1,200 points. Maximum. No limitation for sound. It comes from everywhere. At the back, north, south, east, west. It's all perception. It's all receiving. So it's 1,200 points. Nose? How about nose? Nose, in and out breath. But in between the in and out breath, there's one point in there that is not clear. The in between, the in and out, there's the switching of the salesman's shift, night shift and day shift. In that night shift and day shift, who is in charge? There's always one point there that is not flowing well. So the nose, 800 points. I'm just simplifying for you. Check the sutra for details. Maybe someday we'll study the sutra in detail. Tongue. How about tongue? The tongue, 1,200 maximum points. Why? The tongue can be very powerful. The tongue, your talk, your expression can save the country. Your talk can ruin the country. When your tongue is utilized in a beneficial way, it gives out good speeches. It improves human behavior. It gives prosperity, auspiciousness, kindness to people. A word of comfort, a word of solace, a word of compassion would be very helpful to people. Words of cursing, word of slandering would ruin people. It's very effective and very powerful. You watch your tongue, your mouth. Your mouth gets you into trouble many, many times. People could kill because of utterance of one sentence. Husband and wife departed because of a few words. A physical fight happened because of a few words. You watch your speech. What would the tongue do? The tongue can lie, can slander, tattletale, backbiting, equivocating. What is equivocating? Flowery language. You hate John and say, John, you look nice today, but you hate him. You're not being honest. You're putting on a show. Your tongue has done a lot of bad deeds. But on the other hand, this salesman could be good. Depends on how you control him. The salesman would sell for you. Selling what? Selling patriotism. Selling many, many good things. Compassion. Promotion of compassion, kindness. So, this is the tongue. What else is your sense organs? So we'll cover the eyes, the nose, the ear, the tongue. We'll cover 4 very, very briefly. We don't want to get into details. Otherwise, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about the 4th Noble Truth, not about the senses, but just to give you some information. How about body? Body only have 800 points. How come? Because you really have to get close. Something that is outside of, something that is far away, is not a tactile object that you touch. So it has to be close. The proximity of it requires that conditions to come true before you can touch it. So it only have 800 points. What does these points mean? These points mean the sharpness of each organ. So you know the tongue is very sharp. The ears very sharp. Sharper than what? Sharper than the eyes, sharper than the nose, sharper than the body touch. So we've got 5 covered. How about the last one? Mind. The mental, the consciousness. That's maximum points, 1,200. Why? The mind controls everything. The mind. What are we doing? What's the objective of meditation? The objective of meditation is not just to relax yourself, good health, yoga. No. It's to know your mind, your own mind. Do you know your own mind? Of course it's my own mind, I know it. If you know your own mind, you wouldn't be what you are today. If you know your own mind, you can tell your mind, I want to concentrate. When you were a student, if you know your mind, you have the power to concentrate, you're an A student. When you're a good worker, when you can concentrate, you're the best worker. People just lack the concentration. Your mind is like a monkey. That's what Lee said. It's a monkeying mind. It goes into every direction. You have to put it on leash. If your mind goes astray into the wrong direction, you get further and further into the quicksand of trouble, quicksand of suffering. You get deeper and deeper into it. So, meditation is about, first of all, controlling your own mind. You train yourself to control your own mind. That word control does not have a monarchy connotation to it. It's not an upper level controlling the lower level. That control is to know it, to know your mind, to watch your mind. So, the Epicurean approach to life, as long as, let's get back from the senses now. We're not discussing further into the senses, the sense organs. Watch your senses. Don't let them go astray. Don't let them hurt yourself. Don't let them hurt others. Your senses can hurt others. Watch them. So the Epicurean approach, eat, drink, and be merry, materialistic style of life, they just want to satisfy their senses in the wrong way. And the Buddha said that kind of approach is transitory, gross, and devoid of actual contentment, because it's just transitory. It's not permanent. And sometimes if that indulgence in sensual pleasures, if it is done in an illegal way, immoral way, or it is done If it's satisfied at the expense of others, at the disadvantage of others, you are hurting others. Not only hurting others, you're hurting yourself. Because it's illegal, it's immoral. So senses get into trouble most of the time if you indulge in sensual pleasures. Sexual misconduct is one of the most serious sensual pleasures that people want to satisfy and get them into trouble. Abuses, rape, criminal offenses, all these is because of this drive, this desire, not under control. And how many people get hurt every year because of this unleashed sensual pleasures out of control? So, if you satisfy your senses illegally or immorally, and you think you can get away with it, no, causality would get you. You can't get away with it. See, for example, child abuse. The child is so young that he's not going to release information. The girl is not going to release information. Nobody know about it, right? You think nobody know about it? Causality know about it. You know what is causality? You need to study it. Causality would bind you. You can't get away with it. The law may not get you now, but you can't get away. We already explained causality. We have explained karma. So, that's one extreme. What is the other extreme? The other extreme is the practice of self-mortification. And that is an attempt to gain liberation from suffering by afflicting the body. This approach stems from a genuine aspiration for deliverance, but it works with the wrong assumption that if the body is made to endure hardship, then the mind would be released from greediness, hatred, and delusion. They think that if I subject my body to hardship, to endure, then all these bad, mental afflictions will go. That's the wrong assumption. The Buddha did not agree to it, and the Buddha said this second extreme is painful, ignoble, and not leading to the end of suffering. So there's another extreme that we shouldn't go to. There's two extremes, and in between, of course, there are other approaches. For example, many people would think that the spiritual path is only to be found in Buddhist literature. So they're always in search. They go to the library, they ransack all the shelves and get all the books, get all the CDs, and they read all these books. And they think that by reading all these books, I get enlightened. And they want to go to they're always in search of the best meditation center. They stay in the meditation center for a while. They're not satisfied. They switch from one place to another, change from one guru to another. Meditation is not to look outside. It's look inside, internally, inside of you. So that's what you have to learn. So don't bury yourself in the ivory tower of the written language. You really have to have direct experience into it. And we have people here who come and go, like waves washed ashore. They receded into the ocean, come and go. Some people just show up for 1 or 2 times, and they think they have it. Well, it's easy. Just cross your leg and, straighten your back and watch your breath, and that's easy. And that's meditation. They thought that's meditation. They thought the posture itself is meditation. It takes years. It takes years to realize the tranquility of that tranquility, that happiness in the meditation itself. You have to have direct experience to it. It's just like when you open the treasure door and you think that, this is all the treasures. You haven't got in. But anyway, so there are two extremes. There are people who go about searching and all that, and they think that they're all in the written language. No, it's your direct thinking. It's to see things as they really are. When there's no grasping and no discrimination, then no gain, nothing to gain, nothing to lose, then you see things as they are. So what are we talking about in here? Remember we talked about the faith mind maxim by Zheng Chan, and that is a quotation in there, which maybe I'll quote for you, and this is something worth remembering. I'll quote from there for you. The perfect way is not difficult. This perfect way is the way of enlightenment. It's not difficult. It only avoids discrimination. If only there is no love or hate, completely clean and clear is it. So that you don't discriminate. There's no love, no hate. You see things as it is. When you see things, you are trained since birth to see things as you are committed to know. You structure your thinking, your conceptual thinking in a certain way. That's how you've been trained to think. So, if there is the slightest discrepancy, that is the heaven-earth separation. Let me repeat that sentence for you because I know that someone is copying it down, which is good. The perfect way, this is the faith mind maxim. The perfect way is not difficult. It only avoids discrimination. If only there is no love or hate, completely clean and clear is it. If there is the slightest discrepancy, that is the heaven-earth separation. If you want to realize it presently, there should be no liking or disliking. No love or hate. Some people may argue, no love. Isn't it good to love people? Well, I love my husband, I love my wife, I love my kids. How come there's no love? I understand, surely there shouldn't be any hate, but I don't understand why come there should be any love. The love that we're talking about here is one-sided love. Say, assuming that you love your husband and your husband don't love you, or your husband's love is only temporarily. It happens all the time. They fell in love and they get married. After 1 year, they don't love each other anymore. That love is not eternal. That love is transient. That love is conditional. That kind of love is distorting the reality of love. If that love is real, it's not one-sided, it's compassion. It's real love. So don't misuse that word love. Everyone is changing. That's why we have divorces. The man and the woman love each other so fervently. They're so much in love. And sometimes that love only lasts for a month. I still remember when I was studying at University of Toronto, I got to know a judge who is giving a ceremony for people getting married. He's so insensitive. He said, when I first started out as the judge, giving marriages like that, and that Bible put in there, and they say all these sentences, and he was so conscientious about it. He smiled and he congratulated and all that. And after a while, his face is getting stern. It's just a repetition. He can turn on the tape recorder and it sounds the same. Absolutely no feeling about it. Because why? Because he learned later that many cases that he arranged for marriages doesn't last for half a year. Half a year, all this, they're gone. It happened. That's the kind of love. So, there's no liking or disliking. If we have that kind of intelligence to see things as they really are, what is this? We call that wisdom. In the Buddhist word, we call that prajna. Prajna, prajna. What is prajna? What is prajna? Prajna is wisdom, but this kind of wisdom is not like ordinary wisdom, not like ordinary intelligence. This wisdom, prajna, is an immediately experienced intuitive wisdom that cannot be conveyed by concepts or in intellectual terms. It is an insight into emptiness, which is the true nature of reality. And the realization of prajna is often equated with the attainment of enlightenment, and is one of the essential marks of Buddhahood. So this prajna, it's a wisdom that is beyond the ordinary mundane wisdom. The ordinary mundane wisdom, if it's not being utilized properly, could be detrimental to humanity. The creation of atomic bombs, it's created by people with high intelligence, but if you use that to bomb a country, you kill billions of people. The airplane is created out of intelligence of humanity. Airplanes give you the convenience of proximity of countries. They can travel in a few hours to one country to another country. That plane gives you that benefit, beneficial to humanity. But that plane also carried that bomb to bomb Hiroshima. Depends on how you use that plane. So mundane wisdom could be misused by humans. But this prajna is not. This prajna is beyond the mundane wisdom. This is wisdom giving compassion, wisdom giving purity to humanity. Wisdom that will purify the world, purify your mind, make this world one purity to live in. So the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, you think it is simple? It is simple, but it's the most valuable. If you analyze it in detail, that's enough. That's enough to be the Buddha. That's enough to make this world pure to live in. That's enough to make people, that's enough to improve on the human behavior of the whole world. After all, what is Buddhism? Buddhism is not about going to heaven. No. Buddhism is about improving on yourself, improving on humanity, your mind, the most powerful in you.